All right. Good morning. Good morning. We're going to launch here. This is the regularly scheduled May 24th meeting of the Atlanta City Utilities Committee. I'm Howard Schiff, Chair, Dustin Hillis and Alex Wan. To my left, Andrea Boone and Antonio Lewis. To my right. So we have a quorum. I'm going to call the meeting to order. No changes proposed to the agenda, correct?
We have one change, Mr. Chair. To add resolution number 22R3644, referred by Public Safety.
All right. Motion to amend. I'll second that.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
Thank you. Motion to adopt as amended. Need a second?
Second.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
I'm sure you've all carefully gone over the minutes of the prior meeting. Now I'll make a motion to adopt them.
Second.
Second by Ellis.
Vote is open. Vote is closed.
5 minutes have been accepted. That takes us to public comment. And do we have a lineup? Okay. And first up, Johnny Knutson.
Hello, good morning. How's everyone today? I come to speak on the public access TV, which I believe is on the agenda for today. Wanted to just mention to you all that it's kind of time to get off of this roller coaster with the public side of cable access. The Channel 26 seems to be humming along just fine. It would be great if the city would take on its fiduciary responsibilities, appoint its people to the board of People TV, which is a public board of the city, through legislation. It appears that we're getting ready to, right now, the channel is pretty much black. There's no access. For people like myself and the people of the community of Atlanta, that during the pandemic, this is just unacceptable. For the city the size of Atlanta, this media, this is like the 6th largest market for media, and we can do a lot better. So I just asked if you guys would please consider appointing your people to the board of People TV, take on your fiduciary responsibilities. Let's get this thing righted. It can be. It's not that difficult. I think the will is all there is. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been joined by Ms. Liliana Bakhtiari. Ron Shakir, you are next.
Good morning, Ron Shakir, Southwest Atlanta. Joining what Mr. Knutson has just stated, and it's so important that we can go forward. The action of People TV has a historical affection, and that affection has something to do with America, freedom, and those who have been pioneers and fighters for freedom. And I can name Ms. Boone Father, I can name Jose Williams, I can name Julian Bond, so many people, so many organizations of peace and what may have you have been having a voice on this format. And what the council has been involved in, I'm for going forward with that. But I think it's very important that we going forward, that we actually can see what the board can do. What can the board do? I think the board has demonstrated by us being here today, without being on the schedule that we said we was going to do, the board has come up with something. This committee has come up with some good work, with work that has got us going forward. Let's continue and ask the question, what can the board do? But let the board be mindful that this public want to have something to do with it. I got to switch gears, but I hope I have a chance because I am a board member. And that board member is here today, and there was some surprise stuff that gone forward, and I would like to maybe come back on that. But I wanted to talk about one-lane installments that's happening throughout this city. The one I speak of most that I have spoke on in the last 3 or 4 years is Martin Luther King Westlake to Washington High, the one lane. Misery that's hard to understand, but we're seeing this being rolled out all over the city. These one lane, it's almost like a checkpoint. The point is our community have a history of catching the early morning bus. We are workers. We are working class people, although gentrification is bringing another class. But when we have legislation of action that impacts our movement, we ought to be very careful about that. And what I have seen that came out of council, and I was here yesterday, that they have, I want to check out where you was at on that, Mr. Sllc, that, but the accessory rentals, the Airbnb, for the lack of a better word right now, temporary rentals. These projects is having an impact on residential housing, and we're going to extend it to September. Our community is crumbling with people don't have a place to live because they come home and they have violated the eviction notice and have no place to go but a car, or to sit there in a walkway of an apartment that they once had lease of. The impact, we're not paying attention on the impact of displacement and the causes of, and one of them is that we have residential housing that's turned into mini hotels. We should be concerned about that. And I'll be waiting forward to see where we can have a media format like People TV up and running again well. Thank you.
Ms. Creighton.
Greetings, everybody. I am here questioning what's really going on. I'd like to know, in the resolution that was introduced, it said that we would be under the Office of Communications. Who? Who is the Office of Communications? I need a contact person, please. Also, I would like to understand the resolution or the ordinance. What is it called? An ordinance by Councilman Byron Amos, an ordinance. Is that's going to be voted on today, is that correct? And should I assume that it will be passed, or what's really happening? I would like to know that, because if it does pass, when and if it passes, I would like for something put on the channel that's saying we're coming back. It's been over 60 days. You've actually hurt our reputation more from what already has been taken to Knox. So that's another question. I don't really understand, but I'm learning quickly about this politics and how much my council representatives pay attention when people come up here and speak. It's been a long, hard journey. The things that have been proposed for a better station, I would like to see that come. We have been grossly underfunded for years, and I understand that it's a going practice with the city of Atlanta to the nonprofits. Y'all hear that? This is something that's in this great city, we can't even get around town. You better give yourself more time because of the construction, the development, which is great, the filming. I don't know about how great that is for the people that live in the communities, especially with some of the rude people that's out there not giving us an option or an answer to which way to go if we don't know where to go. This has been really crucial to People TV to be out of service at an election time. Election that affects everybody in this room, that we need to hear what those candidates had to say. so we could have a great choice on who to choose. All of these things has not happened because you've silenced the people. And that's not good. So I'm going to sit here and wait until the ordinance get voted on. And thank you so very much for
Ms. Coleman.
Good morning. First, I just want to say, Councilman Shook, I was very much looking forward to the work session around public access because I understand, because I think there's a larger conversation. What's missing in this whole conversation is the community. And what's troubling to me when I come before council is People TV had a one-year contract. Do we give a contract just because you've always been there? What is the measure of success, performance? Out on the standing on the Utilities Committee, there are reports, presentations of the past year. So I'm here today because I read the resolution and there's no conditions. So I'm asking myself, what's going to happen June 6th that didn't happen in the past year? There's no condition, so I'm here today to ask the committee to make it conditional. Number one, an audit of the past year. The contract with People TV allows for an audit. It allows for an inspection of the facilities, the records retention. I'm asking that the audit department of the City of Atlanta audit People TV's finances for the past year, and that be conditional before a release of the money to People TV for the next year. I'm also asking that, who are you negotiating with? The board of People TV is illegal. The executive committee of People TV are serving terms that are years past their appointment time. So who is it that you're speaking to and who's representing that? At least 5 of the 7 people that's on that board should have been off. So who is the city negotiating with? So I would ask that as part of that, similar to in 2012, that the mayor and the city request that People TV, number one, identify all your board members, what's their term, require a restructuring plan as what happened in 2012 before the city released the money. People TV's board had to introduce or submit for the mayor's approval a restructuring plan. Number two, I'm asking for what is the debt that People TV owes today? If you give them $180,000, is that just to catch up on what their past bills are? Let's look at 2021. City of Atlanta gave them $180,000 in March. 4 months later in August, they stopped paying the rent. In September, they laid off the last full-time employee. January of this year, the last public board meeting, the treasurer reported People TV was $58,000 in debt in arrears on the rent. So I'm asking, you're given a contract, an unconditional contract, and Ms. Creighton in her own reports at full council, she told you she trained 2 people this year in the first quarter of this year. That's the performance. She says she had 5 paying producers in the great city of Atlanta, 5. So who is it that's going to use this facility? 5 people, and 2 of those are out of state. So what exactly are we going to get for that? I'm saying that it was not a binary question. The city take it or People TV, there's options in the middle. I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That concludes our public commenters, which takes us to the Watershed Management Quarterly Report.
Who do you want us to audit? I just got confused a little bit by the folks that were talking, because I'm trying to keep up. And that's why I keep saying I want to bring us all to the table, everybody to the table at one time, because I just got a little confused right there. Okay. And then you're on the board.
All right. Yeah. No. We're not. Yeah. We're not. We're not going to. No. Well, if you understand it, then
Okay,
We're going to move on with it, but we're going to have the presenter from the administration come up. We all have a lot of questions to ask. A lot of them have been posed by people. No, ma'am. No, sir. Commissioner, the mic is yours. Let's get on with it.
I'm sorry, I thought you were about media.
All right, good morning, Chairman Shook and City Utility Committee members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to update you on DWM's progress during third quarter of fiscal year 2022. I'm Makita Browning, Commissioner for Department of Watershed Management. So advancing to slide 3, this illustrates DWM's current departmental organizational chart. During the third quarter, we welcomed Mr. Donald Williams, Chief of People Operations. Mr. Williams possesses over 30 years of business administration, operations, and human resources experience in private sector, as well as local and federal government. He previously served as the Director of Administration for our Office of Linear Infrastructure, and we're excited to have him back with the city as part of our leadership team. Where he will be responsible for close coordination with human resources and oversight of the administrative teams that include our workforce development program, our employee relations, our DWM University, and our small business development program. Advancing to slide 4, this highlights the department's progress by the numbers relating our core services and functions for the current reporting period. Advancing to slide 5. And I see the presentation is being circulated, so I'll give a minute. So slide 5 provides an update regarding DWM's pandemic response. We've continued to navigate the pandemic environment and ensuring that we have adequate coverage for all of our shifts across our operations, which has allowed us to continue to deliver essential services. During the third quarter, non-mission critical employees continued to report on a hybrid schedule, while mission critical report daily. Fiscal year to date, DWM has experienced a total of 207 COVID infections, with 206 fully recovered. To date, we've conducted roughly 220,000 non-invasive temperature screenings at a total of 14 of our facilities. 69% of our workforce has received at least one COVID-19 vaccination shot. We continue to ensure that our frontline workers have the proper PPEs to perform essential functions in a safe and protective manner and are continuing to procure and closely track PPE needs and expenditures. We're also continuing to conduct daily touchpoint cleanings and schedule deep cleans at all DWM facilities. Cleanings continue to be conducted within a 24-hour period upon notification of a positive and suspected case. Next, I'll cover our administrative and financial updates. Advancing to slide 7. This provides an update regarding our personnel status. For the reporting period, DWM's authorized positions were a total of 1,612. 1,301 filled, and 311 vacancies. We're continuing our headcount management efforts to closely manage and monitor our hiring approvals and vacancies. We continue to focus on filling mission-critical positions and continuing efforts to recruit talent for positions via career fairs and related recruitment events, external job postings, etc. Department of HR is continuing to support us with hosting hiring blitzes for our operational sectors, primarily our Office of Water Treatment and Reclamation and our Office of Linear Infrastructure. The next two slides, 8 and 9, provide a snapshot of our quarter 3 fiscal 22 financials. We're continuing to progress well within budget relating our O&M expenditures. And as of March, our actual revenues are continuing to trend higher than projected, and expenses are well within budget. Advancing to slide 10, this provides a summary of our most revenues through March. Most revenues continue to trend steady and higher than projections, and continues to also be a positive for the department. Advancing to slide 11, provides an update regarding our collections efforts for the reporting period. We're continuing to focus on all of our 3 account types, commercial, residential, and multifamily. During third quarter, relating commercial accounts, a total of 996 proactive calls were logged. 53 installment plans were entered into. 374 door knockers were delivered. 98 delinquent commercial accounts were shut off for non-payment, and roughly $3.3 million in revenue has been collected for commercial accounts for the period. For residential, we logged over 3,000 proactive calls. 64 payment plans were established, and $4.6 million delinquent revenues were collected for the period. And lastly, for multifamily accounts, we logged 141 proactive calls, 7 payment plans, and roughly $2.2 million delinquent revenues were collected. So we're continuing to make steady progress with our collection efforts. Shutoffs are currently confined to only commercial accounts. We're continuing to analyze and sanitize our data relating residential accounts. We had originally planned to institute the amnesty program from April 15th through June 17th. However, we will be shifting the start to the summer time frame for a 12-week period, and we'll look to initiate starting June 13th through September the 2nd. We're looking to hold sessions in the community and council districts on a weekly basis, and are currently working through logistics and identifying ideal locations to meet with customers. So I'll be soliciting feedback from U.S. committee members on ideal locations to hold those sessions. Advancing to slides 12 and 13, this provides an update on DWM's Care and Conserve program, specifically our bill payment, low-income water assistance program, and our plumbing assistance support services provided to customers. The program is charged with assisting single-family, low to moderate income residential customers who are experiencing financial hardships with outstanding water bills and plumbing repairs. For the reporting period, DWM has assisted a total of 297 customers and 454 customers for the fiscal year 2022. Use of the low-income water assistance program got off to an initial slow start last quarter. However, this quarter we are showing strong interest from customers, and we're certainly here to support and help our customers in need. Next, I'll be covering operational highlights. So advancing to the next several slides, slide 15 provides an update on DWM's internal metrics. We're continuing to see a downward trend in sewer spills and continued compliance at our drinking water plants. Slide 16 gives an overview of Office of Watershed Protection's SLAs. The average for the quarter was 91.5. Notable is the improvements made regarding our inspection activities. Slide 17 provides a summary of activities relating to the Site Development Division. 841 permits were issued for the period. We've seen some increases in plan review, as noted for the current year, 2022, in comparison to 2021. And we're also working with HR to fill critical vacancies in the team. Advancing to slide 18. Our Office of Customer Care and Billing Services SLA for the period was 100%, so they're continuing to do a great job. Advancing to slide 19, this is our Office of Linear Infrastructure Operations SLA for the period was 90.4. We're continuing to make necessary adjustments to the teams that support valve and hydrant tasks. The recent hiring blitz are helping to fill critical vacancies and add needed additional resources and crews to garner some positive improvements. Advancing to slide 20, this provides update on Oleo service requests. So as you can see, 47% of service requests were related to our sewer collection division, while 53% were related to water distribution. Next, I'll cover compliance really briefly. Advancing to slide 22. Happy to report that we experienced 0 NPDES permit violations for the period across all of our wastewater facilities. and so compliance continues to be a top priority for the department. I'll cover our capital improvements program. Advancing to slide 24. As part of our current 5-year CIP, we've got $0.88 billion planned improvements comprising of 112 active projects. We're continuing to balance capital investments across our operations to ensure completing upgrades to our most critical assets and to ensure the long-term serviceability. Slide 25 provides an update on our small diameter water main replacement program. We're readying the solicitation for procurement next month, June, to address critical water mains across the city that are prone to repeat breaks, such as the water main that is along Councilmember Shook, your street, that has experienced repeated breaks and is at the end of its service life. To date, we've completed approximately 133 projects totaling 20.2 miles and equating to roughly $35 million in water infrastructure improvements. And we're currently readying an additional 133 projects for upgrades in the coming future. Advancing to slide 26, this provides an update on DWM-6 AE professional services contracts, number of task orders issued and pending, as well as expenditures to date. We scheduled semi-annual check-ins with the teams to discuss progress and address any questions, issues, concerns. It also allows us for a two-way communication between leadership and each team, and so we had our first 3 sessions with the teams yesterday, actually. And so next, we'll be covering the wastewater surveillance program, provide an update on the project, and DWM has conducted it in partnership with Emory University. We initiated this partnership over a year ago, and I've asked Dr. Marlene Wolf with Emory University to share findings, so I'll yield to her to provide an update on that project.
Thank you, Commissioner Browning and everyone. I'm happy to talk to you this morning. So wastewater is actually a composite biological sample of everyone who's in the community and utilizing the sewer system. And many pathogens, including SARS-CoV-2 that causes COVID-19, are shed in feces and other bodily fluids. So by taking a sample of that wastewater, you can evaluate the community infection and disease burden in the community with less bias, because people don't have to go and access testing and have their nose swabs. They don't have to report results of an at-home test. And so that helps promote health equity by including groups that may not be accessing the healthcare system or have access to easy testing. This information can then be used for public health response, much in the way that we would use other information that tells us about the burden of disease in our community. And so we have had this year-long partnership to sample and monitor wastewater for SARS-CoV-2 in Atlanta, from manholes that serve individual communities to water reclamation centers. So on the next slide, wastewater monitoring can guide outbreak response. So by looking at the levels of the SARS-CoV-2 genetic material in the wastewater, it's not infectious SARS-CoV-2, but it tells us that it's been present there. We can look at trends in COVID cases over time in the community. We can identify the introduction of new threats, such as new variants or eventually other pathogens. We can show where COVID burden is high throughout the city. And we can also identify risks in institutions like schools and correctional facilities. So the goal of this program that we've been doing for the past year is to complement surveillance that's based on diagnostic testing, and also to identify and monitor high-risk areas. So over the past year, we have taken samples from sewage lines at 3 treatment plants, a total of 9 sewage lines entering the plants, 57 different community sites, mostly focused on South Atlanta, so those are mostly accessed through manholes, and then 13 institutions, including correctional facilities and schools. And you see this map on the slide here shows the different areas of the city that are covered by the influent lines. The red is high level of SARS-CoV-2, pink is low level, and blue is no SARS-CoV-2. And this is from just before the Omicron surge started. So this was some of our first signs in this map here that we had a surge coming at that time in the middle of December. So this has been an incredibly successful effort, thanks in large part to our cooperation with DWN, and I'd like to acknowledge Lorenzo Freeman, who's here and has led the program from that side. We are continuing to monitor schools, correctional facilities, and a limited number of community sites, just due to changes in our funding. We're also continuing treatment plant level monitoring. We've been working with the Georgia Department of Public Health to help them initiate their program, which is a statewide program that will sample and monitor treatment plants in cooperation and with funding from the CDC. And so that's available for one plant in Atlanta in the future through that program. And then finally, I run a nationwide program that does treatment plant level monitoring for SARS-CoV-2 variants and now other viruses like influenza. And so we're hoping to set up that partnership to make sure that Atlanta can be represented in that network. So I'll just say this has been an enormous effort, and I want to say great thanks to the whole team. Thank you to Commissioner Browning for supporting this work, and again to Lorenzo for his leadership of the team at DWM. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wolf. So committee, subject to your questions, that concludes my quarterly update.
All right, thank you. We've been joined by Michael Bond. Questions, comments? Mr. Hillis. By Mr. Wan.
Thank you for the presentation, Commissioner. First, giving credit where credit is very much due. Great job on the SLAs for OCCBS and watershed protection. But we continue to see, as you acknowledged, issues within Oleo when it comes to repairing service lines, hydrant leak repairs, valve leak repairs. So what is the plan to make some progress on those items?
Yeah, we definitely want to make some exaggerated leaps in the right direction there. And so we're going to be working to see how we can, obviously we need to fill critical vacancies and mobilize more crews. So that's why we're working very close with HR to ensure that we onboard those candidates that will help support that operation. But in the meantime, we're going to be looking to try and balance internal resources with contractor resources. Obviously, we want to be as cost effective as possible. So in the near term, that's what we're going to be doing, just supplement of contractor resources to try and support.
And within Oleo, what would you say is the split between the work that you all perform internally and what is contracted out for expediency?
We definitely try to utilize contractor resources as needed. So I would say the split is probably 70-30, 70 internal, 30% contracted. And so just want to make sure we're utilizing the great men and women and resources that we have internal. We have a lot of talent. Want to continue to build upon that by adding to our workforce.
And as far as externally, what can those external contractors do any of this Oleo work, or are there specific contracts for, say, hydrant repair?
Yeah, they can. The contractors have the capability and aptitude to support across all the operations, specifically within the linear realm. They already support a lot with the meter installation. So,
thanks so much.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Wan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, on page 7, when you talk about, you break out all of the positions and vacant positions, what does it mean when a position is on hold?
So that would be probably the non-mission critical positions. Again, our focus has been more mission critical. There's some mission critical that are in that number, but we've really tried to hone in on positions within our Office of Linear Infrastructure and wastewater treatment plants where it's more critical to get folks on board and support.
Okay, so on hold isn't necessarily that the positions are on hold, it's just they're a lower priority in terms of recruitment.
They're a lower priority.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Right, no problem.
Mr. Lewis.
know we were able to find good morning, thank you for coming.
Good morning.
I know we were able to find a bottleneck in the public works hiring processes, and because it was taking almost 90 days to hire folks. And I'm asking, what's the total, what's the time period do you think right now it's taking to bring people on board?
I would say on average it's a little bit over 2 months. We've had conversations with the Department of HR to see how we can expedite. So we're probably, not at 90 days. I think we're probably at 70 days is our turnaround time to get folks on board and a part of the team.
Do you think, you say you're contracting out 30% of work, and that's fairly high. Do you think if we were able to get the 311 vacant positions filled, we would still need to contract out about 30% of the work?
I think in some respects we would. Again, we're dealing with, as you bring on new people, you've got to get them trained and acclimated to the environment, get them, in the shape of doing the work. So we'll have new folks being added. We'll have to rely on our more seasoned employees to help train. And so, I think in some respects we would still rely on third-party resources and just for efficiency and expediency of certain tasks.
So I'm thinking if we can get, I'm hoping, coming out of the union world, if we can get those 311 positions filled, that we can bring that 30% down to more like 10%.
Absolutely, and I think that is a great goal. As I stated during my budget briefing, we're going to be realistic about it. This past fiscal year, we were able to onboard a little bit over 100. So I think over the span of the next couple of years, we'll work to get to that, so we can get that vacancy count down and within a reasonable percentage.
And last question: do you think if we were able to bring it down from 70 days to more like 30 days? Do you think we would be able to hire more than 100 people in a fiscal year?
I can't say. I probably have to defer to the Department of HR because that process is under their purview. But we definitely work hand in hand with them to try to see how we can make the process more efficient and how we can help as a department. So that's aggressive. Be it they have to still do background checks and a lot of administrative tasks. So I think if it was down to maybe 45 days, that would be great.
But you need some assistance in getting that down. That's what I'm taking from pretty much every department, that we need to find these bottlenecks. We found one in the other department, and I think the bottleneck we found another bottleneck because HR almost has a different HR department in some departments, which was a little confusing. So hopefully we can get there as well. But once again, I'm new. I'm just trying to find the bottleneck so we can speed up this process because people want jobs. And if we can connect folks, like I haven't been able to get a person a job in Watershed yet. And I got it since November. And I didn't even know one of the issues. I'm thinking about a person, Jamonte Stevens in particular. He applied for maybe 7 jobs with the city of Atlanta, and most of them were within transportation and Watershed.
Okay.
And I didn't even know y'all had your own HR person. And so that stuff wasn't even being pulled.
Yeah, we have HR members of DHR that are assigned to Watershed to support. And so
it's nothing to do with you. I'm just trying to find that bottleneck because I want to fix it so we can give you some power so we can actually do the work. So I appreciate you again. Thank you, President Sllc, for allowing me that.
Great questions and comments, and you'll want to be in HR at the budget hearing when HR presents. I'm sure we're all going to have a lot of questions along the same lines. Others? Okay. Great report.
okay, thank you. Appreciate your support.
Yes, until the next meeting, Mr. Chair.
So can I
get some further details from either DPW or Mr. Pace or someone with administration. I mean, we have over 110, just for example, APD cars in fleet right now, and we can't get an update on the progress we're hoping to make there.
The department requested
Not everyone at once.
The department requested to present at the next CUC meeting.
Good morning, Councilmember Hemphill. Yeah, we'll present at the next CUC meeting on the data and the information. We're just doing a much deeper deep dive into the fleet situation, especially on the public safety side. So we're doing a deeper analysis.
All right, thank you.
I will bring forth a substitute. Mr. Chair, we need a motion to bring forth the substitute. The vote is open. Please vote.
Procedural motion to bring forward the substitute. Votes open.
Vote is closed. A substitute ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute Amendment Number 3 to existing Task Order Number 143 to FC 7383A, Architectural, Engineering, and Design Services with Arcadis, BPA Joint Venture, a joint venture of Arcadis G&M Incorporated and Brinley Peters and Associates Incorporated to extend the term of the task order for a period not to exceed 8 months, retroactively effective February 8, 2022 through October 7, 2022, on behalf of the Department of Public Works, and to add funding to Task Order Number 143 in an amount not to exceed $650,000.00. In accordance with Section 21163, subsection C, Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta, Code of Ordinances, all contracted work to be charged to and paid from Fund Department Organization and account number listed herein and for other purposes.
Ms. Lipscomb.
Good morning. Carla Lipscomb, Public Works Manager Senior, Department of Public Works. The purpose of this legislation is to amend, to execute Amendment Number 3 to Task Order Number 143 for Arcadis BPA Joint Venture. We would like to extend this task order for 8 months from February the 8th to October the 7th and add funding in the amount of $650,000. If approved, Arcadis would be allowed to continue conducting landfill post-closure care activities, which are required by the Georgia Environmental Protection Division for all of the city's foreclosed landfills.
And tell us about the timelines involved here. Why the extension?
Okay, this extension is being requested because DEAM is currently finalizing the new A&E contracts, and from what I understand, they are on the CUC Cycle 11, so until those contracts are finalized, I need to extend this contract.
Thank you, Chairman Shook. Thank you, Ms. Lipscomb. So as far as landfill post-closure care goes, this contract that includes Arcadis and BPA, they're the only contractor that does our post-closure care?
They are the contractor that we selected and that have currently been performing the work.
Okay. I would like to make a request to see the past, let's say, 5 years of expenses regarding landfill post-closure care. And then my other question is, where were we in either December or January to bring this to council instead of now we're going retroactively 3 to 4 months.
Unfortunately, the legislation was submitted, but due to some budgetary issues, it kind of got held up in finance, from what I understand.
Well, I will make a motion to approve on condition that we receive that 5-year report for landfill post-closure care.
Okay, no problem.
All right, motion's been made by Hillis, seconded by Juan. If there's nothing else, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right. Approved on substitute on condition. Could you read the next caption, please?
22-01393, an ordinance by council members Byron D. Amos, Andrea L. Boone, and Keisha Sean Waits, waiving the competitive procurement provisions contained in Section 2-1163 of Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of Ordinances, to authorize the mayor or his designee to reinstate expired agreement SPS 1200233, public channel operation with People TV on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Communications for the purpose of reinstating People TV Incorporated operation of public access television on behalf of the city, to enter into Amendment Number 1 of the agreement to modify the term of the agreement to commence on June 6, 2022, and end on June 5, 2023, with one option to renew for 1 additional year, and to add funds to the agreement in an amount not to exceed $180,000.00. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Councilmembers, Brian Thomas, Director of the Mayor's Office of Communications, resident District 5. This ordinance would reinstate the contract to operate public access TV with People TV for 1 year. The administration remains committed to reinvigorating public access TV as previously discussed and presented to council. However, we want to make sure that in the meantime that public access TV does stay in the hands of the public. Over the course of the last couple of months, we've been able to determine it's going to take a little bit more time before a new RFP can be put in the field and executed. And so therefore, we're putting forward this ordinance to restore the 1-year contract with People TV. Over that course of that time, we're going to be engaging in the public process, seeking public input over the development of a new scope for a new RFP and engaging in that process. So that's our focus moving forward, making sure that the public has input and we'll be ready to put that new RFP into the field and ensure that when we do reach the end of the contract that the signal will either remain where it is or transfer to a new operator, but not come back to the city.
All right. I'll second that. Let's open the vote on the proposed amendment. Dan, Mr. Lewis is a co-sponsor.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right, paper's been amended. Motion
Second, Boone.
Motion to approve is amended, I believe, by Mr. Juan, second by Boone. Let me ask a few questions. There was an interesting point made as to who your office was dealing with on the People TV, insofar as there are some vacancies and some stale board appointments. It's my understanding that on most boards, you can continue serving until you quit or are replaced. So is that your understanding of the situation?
I'm not familiar with the bylaws of People TV's board, but we could definitely take a look at that.
All right. Is there anyone here from the administration that can? I mean, it's a fundamental question. Is People TV currently? All right. Thank you.
Good
morning, Council Member Theo Pace, Deputy Chief of Staff for the Mayor. I think what the administration would do is review all of the appointments for People TV and look at either reappointing those individuals or look at appointing new members. I think if I'm correct, I believe the council also has some appointments to that board as well. So we'll engage with the municipal clerk's office and review all of those appointments.
Okay, council certainly needs to know very clearly what our responsibilities and obligations are so that we can pitch in. Ms. Boone.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pace and Mr. Thomas, we really would appreciate if you all would bridge the old and the new, have a roundtable discussion so that we can come up with a happy median. As you know, People TV has serious historical significance in the city of Atlanta, and we would really, really, really appreciate you all sitting down with those that helped make it what it was, and let's bring it back strong. Thank you.
Well, Stephanie, Councilmember.
Mr. Lewis.
Every time they speak of People TV, they speak of my mentors, and they speak of people I wanted to be like. And so I want to grow with it. When they talk about old and new, make sure I'm one of the new people at the table, because I want to know how to use it. I'm so confused. I don't know who we're even auditing right now. And so please create a table big enough that includes all of us. Thank you.
Is People TV in debt?
Yes.
And does the proposed budget for the upcoming year satisfy that as well as providing the operational funding needed?
I think that's something that we'll review through the existing agreement and address, but I believe what we'll do is have a meeting with Ms. Creighton and the board members to discuss those issues.
Board members have been left out.
Okay, so then in terms of where do you funnel your questions, comments, and concerns, that would be you?
Yeah, so I, overseeing the Mayor's Office of Communication, also see the Office of Television Technology. Ms. Harris has been here, so she and I will both be overseeing that, but yeah, absolutely, Mayor's Office of Communications.
Well, please circulate the relevant contact information to the people so that they can efficiently get to you.
I hope that the board members be included to that circle.
Yeah, and include the board members. Okay. There's been a motion and a second. I would like to propose a condition that we get that board breakdown Monday so that we can start addressing that. So I'll make a motion to add that. Okay. All right, let's open the vote on the condition. I know. Let's. The motion is to approve on condition. Let's open the vote if there's nothing else.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right, 6 yeas, 0 nays. The ayes have it. All right, next paper.
22-0-1412, an ordinance by council members Mary Norwood and Michael Julian Bond authorizing the mayor or his designee to place a stop work order and to withhold a certificate of occupancy for 111 Valley Road, northwest due to city assets being jeopardized by the erosion of the Wolf Creek stream bank and for other purposes.
Mr. Hillis, what happened in public safety? Okay. Commissioner comments?
Okay, good.
The sponsor requested that this paper is filed, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Pursuant to an opinion by law, the author agreed to filing this and pursuing a different avenue forward, so I'll second the motion to file.
I would just like to hear an update specific to this location and what site development has done at this location?
Project has location has a myriad of compliance issues that we're monitoring very closely. Councilman Norwood's office has been in close communication with us about it, as well as several neighbors and citizens. So we're continuing to monitor compliance with our local and state regs and want to make sure we continue to track it and make sure that the owner-developer gets into compliance. So
This is currently an active construction site. Does it have a stop work order?
there's a stop work order, so we're monitoring it to ensure that there's no activities that are happening that shouldn't be happening. And I believe that they are they need to cure some requirements at the state level. So,
Thank you for those details.
no problem.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to file. Let's open the vote.
Mr. Chair, please repeat the mover and the second.
I was the mover, and Mr. Hillis was the second.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right, by unanimous vote, it's filed. Next paper.
22R3653, a resolution by City Utilities Committee to amend Ordinance 21-00438, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on August 16, 2021, and approved by operation of law per City Charter Section 2-403 on August 25, 2021, to correct the not-to-exceed amount, to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute the First Amendment to Agreement RFP S1210111 Green Infrastructure and Landscape Services with ECL RAC Joint Venture on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to add funding for the Grove Park Infrastructure Project and the Mosley Park Green Infrastructure Project in an amount not to exceed $1,572,750.50 and add funding for routine landscaping activities at other Department of Watershed Management facilities in an amount not to exceed $208,000.00. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account number listed herein and for other purposes.
Commissioner.
The department has requested to hold the paper.
Okay, did you want to add anything or just a request?
No, just department requested be held.
Motion to hold by Juan. Second by Boone. Let's open the vote. Oh, question, Mr. Ellis.
What is the specific project cited in Grove Park?
So there's a green infrastructure project that's proposed for implementation as part of our EIB suite of projects. I don't have the specifics on scope, but I can get that to you.
Yeah, if you just send that to me, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Next paper, please.
The vote is open. To place the paper on held. The vote is closed.
All right, item is to be held. Next paper.
Legislative ID 22R3654, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement for IFB C1220148 upgrade to Hemphill Pump Station with WWPS LLC on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for a term to commence on the date a notice to proceed is issued for a period of 730 days for substantial completion and 821 days for final completion, in an amount not to exceed $13,771,047.00. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account number listed herein and for other purposes. The department has requested to hold the paper to amend for the IPRO report.
Motion to hold by Juan, second by Hillis. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. vote is closed.
Thank you. Item will be held while we await the ACPRO.
Item number 6, 22R3655, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the Second Amendment to Agreement FC 8919, annual contract for security guard services with Thorpe Building Services Incorporated, All-in-One Security Services Incorporated, a joint venture, on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to extend the term of the agreement on a month-to-month basis for a period of up to 9 months in an amount not to exceed $5,192,563.20. Subject to and expressly contingent on the approval of the FY 2023 budget, to correct the name of a party to the joint venture, all contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account number listed herein and for other purposes.
Good morning, Chairman Shook, council members, Sterling Graham, Department of Watershed Management. The purpose of this resolution is to amend the agreement FC 8919, annual contract for security guard services, through which security services are provided for Department of Watershed Management, Public Works, and ATL DOT on a month-to-month basis for a period of no more than 9 months to allow the department to finalize and execute a new agreement. This resolution also corrects the name of one party of the joint venture to reflect what is recorded with the Georgia Secretary of State. The current agreement provides manned security for 43 facilities. These facilities are either critical infrastructure, vital to water and wastewater services, or high-priority sites. It also provides remote security services for 31 locations. This is accomplished via remote security units, RSUs, which are monitored 24 hours a day via security professionals in a remote secure operations center aided by artificial intelligence. This service allows for intruders to be instantly challenged and for safety and security assets to be dispatched remotely. The contract's base cost did increase, which can be attributed to inflationary pressure, employment competition in the space that was not present when the agreement was originally executed. The increase is in line with the expectations of our new agreement. The contracted amounts by department, approximately DWM, $2.9 million, ATL DOT, approximately $407,000, DPW Fleet Services, $659,000, and DPW Solid Waste Services, $1.15 million. The current vendor has met and exceeded all expectations and goals in its current contract. This includes performance of remote security units, security personnel at various facilities, record keeping, and all our digital deliverables. Subject to your questions, this concludes my brief at this time.
Mr. Wan.
I'm going to channel my inner Jason Dozier. The rate increase, inflation, what's the rate? What percentage?
Looking at the amended agreement, it looked like around about 30%.
30%?
About 30%, yes.
On the not the total, but the rate. The rate went up 30%.
The total. The total.
Okay, but isn't it based on a rate? Is it based on a hourly person rate?
Yeah, so they provided us an aggregate of the different services that we provide. So that's rolling units, level 1, level 2, and RSUs. And so with their employees, it looked like it was about a 30% increase in their base rate from about $18 to about $20. We expect to see a $20 to $25 rate in our new agreement as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Hills.
Thank you. So to be clear, this is $5.2 million, and it's only covering 9 months over 43 facilities, which is about $120K per facility if it's averaged out. So this is just a large expenditure. So I would like more details as to all of the sites that this contract covers from each department. And so the last time this went out to bid was 2017. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I just, this is, we increase, private contracts or contracts for private vendors, at the drop of a hat. and cite inflation, but then when it comes to paying our city employees, it's like pulling teeth to try to get them raises that studies show that they need. I would like to motion to approve on the condition that we get that report from the sites, and if it is not and the cost per site. This is broken down to through each department.
You want the before cost compared to the proposed?
Yes.
Per site?
Right.
Yeah. I'll second that. Any other questions? Let's open the vote on the amendment.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right, 6-0. Other questions or comments as to the paper as now amended? All right, I'll second the Mr. Watt.
The motion was favorable on condition.
All right, I'm just making sure. Be careful what you wish for. All right, the dreaded dual referrals.
(22-0-1394), an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, authorizing payment in an amount not to exceed $73,651.00 for the claim of Chester Bennett for property damage alleged to have been sustained as a result of a sewage overflow on August 30th, 2020 at 2565 Cascade Road Southwest, and for other purposes. This was voted favorable by Public Safety.
Mr. Bond.
Good afternoon, committee members. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Yes, we put this paper forward because we believe that even though we recognize the city's standing, the law department's standing position, that this is a unique situation affecting a unique individual. And in addition to what has happened at this site to this person, he's also a senior citizen, and because of the results of this incident, has not been in his home for almost 2 years. The gentleman is over 80 plus, doesn't have the ability to make these repairs, and of course has been sleeping on the sofa as a result of what he had no control over. There are other issues that we could discuss, but I guess we'd have to go in executive session to do so, but we did hash that out yesterday in Public Safety, and we're able to get a favorable recommendation, and I would ask for the benevolence of the committee to do the same.
Ms. Grant, am I right in assuming that we're not going to be able to have a full conversation about this shy of going into executive session?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Stephanie Grant, Law Department. That is correct, sir. In order to have a discussion and to hear from the Law Department regarding the Law Department's recommendation, we do support executive session.
Thank you. Ms. Bowden.
Yes, I would like to speak, if we could call our Commissioner of Watershed up to just give a scenario about this very serious. I mean, $73,000, that's a large claim. Most claims that I've seen have been much smaller, so just trying to assess the damages that have been done to someone that's 80-something plus. We just found out about this on yesterday. Had not gotten any previous information on Mr. Chester Bennett, myself, nor Councilmember Overstreet. But $73,000 and a gentleman that it's been out of his home for nearly 2 years. If you all could give us some information regarding this the damages of $73,000. Thank you.
Mr. Shook, we would just say that to the extent that we get into the details of this particular matter, it's a matter that would need to be discussed in executive session. We can provide general information on the record, but this is pending litigation, and so we would...
Understood, Mr. Ellis.
Yeah, I'll just ask that that the Watershed Commission be able to join us in that executive session. All right, thank you.
All right, motion by Juan, second by back to you, Ari. Let's open the vote to go into executive session.
Mr. Chair, we need to put on the record the reason for the executive session and its discussion of pending litigation.
Thank you. Oh, by unanimous consent?
Yep.
All right, let's,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
let's go to the conference room, shall we? Yeah, council conference room.
The large conference room.
Let's do the large one. There's people in there? All right, belay that. We're going to be in this in here. right, we're going to reconvene. City Utilities Committee stepped away to enter into executive session in order to discuss a potential legal situation. We're now back. All right, there's been a motion and a second to return to regular session. Let's open that up.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right, we're back in regular session, and we had been discussing item number I-7, 22-013-94. Motion to hold by Mr. Wan. Second by Mr. Hillis. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, let's open that vote.
The vote is open.
Motions to hold.
The vote is closed.
Thank you. Item is held. Our last action item is comes to us. Mr. Bond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your acknowledgement. I want to thank the committee. We can't disclose what was discussed in executive session, but for those in the public who are wondering about this issue, know that solutions are being worked on for the issue. And thank you all for that. Today's election day. Go vote. You all are great Americans. Thank you.
For today, anyway. Okay, that takes us to 22R3644. Could you sound the caption, please?
Yes. A resolution by council members Andrea L. Boone and Matt Westmoreland, as amended by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee, requesting the Commissioner of the Atlanta Department of Transportation, the Commissioner of the Department of Watershed Management, and the Fire Chief of the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department to provide emergency assistance to address replacing fire hydrants and street improvements for the senior residents living at the Kelso at Peyton subdivision to improve the quality of life in the Peyton Forest community and for other purposes. This paper was voted favorable as amended by Public Safety.
Mr. Hillis.
I wanted to hear from the department. I know I've had a number of private developments in my district where they're initially private streets with private, stormwater, water infrastructure, and then there's an official process they go through to deed those over to the city. Just want to hear, is this going to initiate that process, or how would you go about repairing these fire hydrants?
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for that, Councilman Hillis. To your point, there is a formal process to dedicate formally private assets to the city. I've dealt with a couple in your district. And so Councilman Boone brought this matter to my attention. I'm familiar with the neighborhood and the community. I understand that the community is comprised of quite a bit of elderly residents who don't have the means to fund any infrastructure improvements on their private infrastructure. And so I would look to work with Bureau Buildings, internal site development group, and Atlanta Fire to work to get the hydrants in question repaired and back operable, and look at holistically all the assets within that community that would need to be administratively dedicated properly to the city.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Boone.
Yes, quickly, Commissioner, thank you for looking into this matter. What prompted this event, this legislation, was an event that happened a few weeks ago where we discovered that none of the fire hydrants in this community were working, and realized that it was a true emergency situation. So please support this community, and again, thank you.
Motion to approve by Boone, second by Lewis. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right, paper's been approved. Is there any other business? Any
No, Mr. Chair.
Any announcements? Yes.
Please go vote today. Please go vote today. Thank you again.
All right, we're adjourned.